Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Naruto received more than will of fire from Hashirama. What if it was something tangible with the blood of Shodai running through his veins? What changes will come to the Naruto verse? Before we start, don't forget to give a like and subscribe to this channel for more what ifs, and check the description for creator of this great fanfic. So let us start. Disclaimer. I do not own Naruto Chapter 14. Hokage, yeah Blondie, I know my name. Jiraiya, who is this kid? Asked Tsunade with a slightly irritated voice. Tsunade is a beautiful woman who looked to be in her 20s despite being over 50. She is a fair-skinned woman with brown eyes and straight, blonde hair tied back into two loose ponytails with bangs framing either side of her face. She was wearing a grass-green haori with the kanji for gamble written in black on the back, inside a red circle. Underneath she wears a gray, kimono-style blouse with no sleeves, held closed by a broad, dark bluish-gray obi that matches her pants. She wears open-toed, strappy black sandals with high heels and red polish on both her fingernails and toenails. She also has a violet diamond mark situated on her forehead. Jiraiya laughed as Naruto was still gawking at Tsunade. Jiraiya never told Naruto they were searching for her, and it definitely caught him by surprise. He's my new apprentice, Naruto. Naruto, this is Tsunade and Shizune, said Jiraiya as Naruto finally got out of his stupor. Naruto looked to the black-haired woman as she smiled warmly at him. Why don't you hang with Shizune while my teammate and I speak to one another? Naruto nodded his head as he greeted Shizune. Nice to meet you, Shizune-san, said Naruto as he held out a hand to Tsunade's dark-haired assistant. Nice to meet you too, Naruto. This is Taunton, said Shizune as she shook hands with Naruto and showed him her pig. Naruto and Jiraiya sat in the booth with the two women as Naruto talked to Shizune and played with Taunton. Tsunade held a critical eye toward Naruto as she already knew who he was. Naruto, the Kyuubi kid. I haven't really heard from him since he was born. Seems he's grown up to look just like Jiraiya's last pupil, the fourth, thought Tsunade as she noticed a green glow coming from her chest. Why is my grandfather's necklace glowing? So what do I owe the pleasure of seeing you here, said Tsunade to Jiraiya as she sipped from her cup. Well, we just stopped here for something to eat, and imagine my surprise when I see you here, of all people, said Jiraiya with a smile. Tsunade scoffed, seems like both of my old teammates decided to visit me on the same day. Jiraiya narrowed his eyes slightly and asked, so you're saying Orochimaru was here? What happened? Nothing much. We just said hello, answered Tsunade. Jiraiya smirked slightly. Is that why there was a section of the palace wall destroyed? Just a hello? Asked Jiraiya. Jiraiya and Naruto had seen a huge piece of the wall around Tanzakugai in pieces on their way into the city. TCH. Orochimaru already told me about Sensei, so what do you want, Jiraiya? Jiraiya took on a serious face as he said, I'll get straight to the point then. Konoha has requested that you become its fifth Hokage. At the word Hokage, the table went silent. Shizune looked shocked as she couldn't believe what was just said. Tsunade had no outside reaction to the word but inwardly was shocked. Naruto got excited at the prospect of Tsunade being the Hokage. He'd be able to have a family member always around, especially someone like Tsunade. I'll say it again, the village advisors have requested that you become the village's Godime Hokage, fifth Hokage. So what do you say? Said Jiraiya since Tsunade was still quiet. Tsunade took a deep breath and said, not possible, I refuse. Jiraiya laughed slightly, I remember that line. I asked you to date me a long time ago and those were the same words you used. Said Jiraiya as Naruto looked shocked at Tsunade. Tsunade noticed Naruto's facial expressions and scoffed slightly. Seems your apprentice is shocked at that. He even looks like your last one, though he's less gifted, to still be a genin at that age. Terrible, said Tsunade as Naruto narrowed his eyes slightly. That's a pretty tough comparison as it's hard for anyone to beat the Yondaime in those fields. His capabilities as a ninja were unrivaled in history. He was talented with techniques, incredibly smart, and very popular. He was also handsome like me, said Jiraiya. He was going to continue with how Naruto could surpass the Yondaime with time, but Tsunade cut him off. Even still, the fourth died young. He threw his life away for the village, said Tsunade as Naruto glared at her. How could you say that? He died protecting what was precious to him, said Naruto. Tsunade scoffed. Life isn't like money. Only an idiot bets his life so easily, said Tsunade. Naruto began to shake with rage slightly. An idiot, thought Naruto. My grandfather, the Shodaime Hokage, and the Nadaime wished to end the war. But they wasted their lives before they could accomplish that, said Tsunade as Naruto put his head down slightly. Jiraiya noticed Naruto's anger rising and hoped he'd keep a level head. Tsunade, you've changed. I don't know what you've been thinking, but you seem to have put it in words, said Jiraiya. Tsunade laughed slightly. I'm in my 50s despite looking like this. Time changes people. Sarutobi sensei is the same. If an old man tries to act brave, of course, he'll die, said Tsunade. The title Hokage is a piece of crap. Only an idiot becomes one, finished Tsunade as she blinked to see a fist inches from her nose. Naruto had jumped on the table and threw a punch at Tsunade, only to have Jiraiya stop him by grabbing his shirt. Tsunade saw Naruto holding a very serious face at her as she merely laughed. Seems someone wants to fight, said Tsunade as Naruto nodded his head. Fine, meet me outside, brat. Naruto vanished in a shunshin as Tsunade merely walked outside to face him. Jiraiya facepalmed as he got up to follow. Come on Shizune. Someone needs to scrap that kid's remains off the street after Tsunade is done with him. Outside the bar, Naruto stood across Tsunade in the middle of the street. One finger, said Tsunade as she held up her index finger. It's all it'll take to beat a genin, finished Tsunade as she noticed Naruto still hadn't said anything. Jiraiya and Shizune walked outside as Jiraiya said, Tsunade, don't do this. We can talk about this like grown-ups. This brat tried to punch me. He needs to know his place, said Tsunade as she looked to see Naruto still standing there. Well, if you're not coming, then I will. Tsunade took off toward Naruto as she attempted a backhanded swipe to his face, but Naruto ducked. Tsunade was confused as he moved at a speed too fast for a genin and because of that received a powerful elbow to the ribs sending her stumbling backward. Jiraiya smiled slightly at the scene of Tsunade getting hit and of Shizune almost dropping Taunton in shock at what she had just witnessed. Jiraiya-sama. How can a genin fight like that? He shouldn't be able to hold a candle to her, said Shizune watching Tsunade finish stumbling back from Naruto's elbow strike. Naruto may be a genin but he's likely one of the strongest in Konoha right now, he just needs a little more time and he'll be the best, said Jiraiya as he then saw what Naruto was about to do. Did he finish it? Thought Jiraiya in shock. Naruto stood back up after elbowing Tsunade to hold his right arm up with his palm facing upward. A few seconds afterward, Jiraiya, Shizune, and Tsunade heard a familiar swirling sound only produced by one jutsu. In Naruto's hand, blue chakra began to swirl around in his hand as a blue orb, double the size of his fist, pulsed into his hand. Rasengan, shouted Naruto. It's not fully completed yet, but to come that far since I showed it to him during the finals, thought Jiraiya as he saw Naruto's incomplete Rasengan. However, he still can't keep it from being slightly bigger than the normal. It's just like Minato's. Tsunade knew the jutsu from a mile away and the danger present. She wasn't prepared to see the kid perform a shunshin and appear in front of her with his hand cocked back. That shunshin speed is incredible. I have to, thought Tsunade as her entire hand glowed brightly with chakra and she smashed it into Naruto's Rasengan. Naruto was blown back into the wall as his jutsu backfired and sent him into the wall. A completed Rasengan would have gone through Tsunade's hand with ease but due to its instability in Naruto's hand, it backfired and blew up on him. I still don't have that down all the way, said Naruto. Shizune ran over to Naruto and helped him out of the wall. She then began to apply medical jutsu to heal him. Jiraiya, why did you teach him such a dangerous move? You know that only you or the Yondaime can do that move. If I hadn't used chakra to stop it, it would have done more than just blown up in his face, it could have taken his arm off had he smashed it into something. Jiraiya paid Tsunade no attention as he walked over and patted Naruto on the back. You won, brat. Good on ya. And only a month and a half since I showed you that jutsu during the finals, nice progress. Said Jiraiya as Naruto grinned. What? He didn't win. He got in a lucky shot and then blew himself up with his own jutsu. How did he win? Asked Tsunade to see Naruto smirk. Naruto held up one finger as he said, you used more than one finger, so I win by default. Ha. I'm 1-to-1 against the Sannin Jiraiya-sensei, you're next. Oh ho brat. You're decades too early to face me, said Jiraiya as he noticed Tsunade trying to leave. I can't let you do that Tsunade Haim. As I said, the Konoha Council has selected you as their godime. The kid and I aren't letting you leave just so you can vanish again, we'll stay on you until you come back to Konoha. Tsunade sneered at him, why would I? Why should I? I already said I'm not going. That place has taken too much away from me. It isn't getting my life too. Shizune, we're going, said Tsunade as she tried to leave but Jiraiya didn't move. Tsunade scoffed slightly as she turned away from him. As she turned away, she spotted the area where Naruto's jutsu backfired. She smirked slightly as she got an idea. Hey kid, how about a wager? You know that jutsu you just used was created by the Yondaime Hokage. If you can master that move in a week then I'll come back to Konoha with you, and even give you this necklace. But if you don't, then you head back to Konoha without me and you give me all the money you have on you. Naruto looked at the necklace and could see it glowing. Deal. 1 week. I'll show you a completed Rasengan and you come with us. If not, then we go home alone. Tsunade smirked as she walked away with Shizune. Tsunade-sama, why did you bet your necklace away so easily like that? It's a family heirloom, said Shizune as Tsunade looked back at Naruto and Jiraiya's retreating forms. He can't complete it in a week anyway. It took Jiraiya several more months when he had it that far so that brat won't even be close by the end of the week, easy bet. Said Tsunade as she then thought, that kid, he's connected to my grandfather's necklace. It seems to resonate around him. As she finished her thought, her necklace stopped glowing as she got farther away from Naruto. Who are you? Later that night Naruto heard a knock at his hotel room door. Opening it, he found Shizune standing there. Oh hey Shizune-san. What are you doing here? She came inside and ran a green glowing hand over him. Well you seem alright from that earlier jutsu. Thank goodness. Said Shizune. Yeah. It used to be way worse, trust me. Did you need something? I need to get some rest so I can train tomorrow for this bet. Yes Naruto-san, that's what I need to talk to you about. I don't want you to think of Tsunade-sama as a bad person, she's just bitter, said Shizune awkwardly as Naruto nodded his head. Because she lost her brother and lover in the war, right? Asked Naruto as Shizune gasped. How could you know about something like that? Well I'm quite the curious individual and I love reading about history. The stories of the Sannin were one of my favorites and hers happened to be there. It didn't explain why she left Konoha so I asked Gigi about it and he told me the tragic tales of Naoki Senju and Dan Kato. Your uncle right, said Naruto. Shizune nodded her head becoming more impressed by the golden blonde-haired ninja in front of her. Well if you know that, then you must know that that necklace is cursed. It will kill anybody who wears it besides Tsunade-sama. It did to both Naoki and Uncle Dan. Said Shizune. Well, then I'm next cause I'm winning this bet and that necklace. So tell her to get her bags packed because she's going back to Konoha with me and Jiraiya-sensei. Believe it. Said Naruto with finality. Shizune smiled slightly at Naruto's determination and actually hoped he'd win. She wanted to go back to Konoha too. One day later, Naruto left at sunrise to go train and found a clearing to do so in. He was standing atop a lake wearing only his beige pants, foregoing the rest to keep it from getting wet. He had been practicing the Rasengan for about 3 hours and was making some progress. I have to complete this jutsu. Konoha needs Tsunade back. She could help so many people. Like Rock Lee. She can even help Sakura-chan with her medical ninjutsu, thought Naruto as he channeled another Rasengan, not to mention she's family. Naruto's Rasengan destabilized after 10 seconds as it fizzled away. Getting closer. I hope I can no. I will finish this jutsu by the end of the week. One more time, thought Naruto as he was about to attempt another one until he had to dodge a fireball. Who would attack me? Thought Naruto as he then noticed something special about his attacker's jutsu. Blue fire. Hey Yugito-chan, said Naruto as there was a sharpened nail on his throat. Yugito was standing behind Naruto with a smile as she greeted Naruto in kind. Hello, Naruto-kun. Fancy meeting you here, said Yugito. She was wearing a short-sleeved black and blue blouse with black pants, both of which had matching cloud patterns on them, blue fingerless gloves, and a chain of blue beads wrapped around her left hand. She also had on a black Kumo forehead protector. Naruto smiled as well. Can I ask why you're here? You're not a stalker, are you? Questioned Naruto as he turned on the water to see Yugito pull out a scroll. The day I woke up, my cage asked me to come in the next day for an important mission. That mission entailed a response to Jiraiya's scroll about the Akatsuki. We heard from intel that he was seen in Tanzaku-gai and that's why I headed here. He also debriefed me on the newest A-rank ninja out of Konoha, Naruto Senju. Imagine my surprise when I then see him here. Said Yugito as Naruto laughed slightly. As Naruto was chuckling, Yugito's Biju decided to toss in her 2 cents. Kitten, he's shirtless. He looks like a demigod. Claim him now, shouted the Nibi in Yugito's mind as Yugito blushed slightly. Not now Nibi, said Yugito as she cut the connection. She heard Naruto speak again but wasn't listening. What was that? Naruto smiled. Internal debate with your Biju. I get that all the time with my partner. What's yours like? QB gets pretty grumpy. Said Naruto as Kurama internally stirred. Grumpy. I'm gonna F** you up la wait did you censor me? Asked Kurama confused because his word got bleeped. Kurama's face then got pixelated. Oh, I'm kicking your A later whenever I get the cha, started Kurama again until Naruto cut the connection to focus on Yugito. Nibi's not too difficult, she's rather easy to get along with once you get past her trying to meddle with my private life, said Yugito. Well Ms. Ni, would you like for me to show you to Jiraiya-sensei, said Naruto as he put his black shirt and sandals back on. As Naruto was tying his forehead protector around his forehead, he asked, but why not get some food first? Yugito smirked slightly. Are you asking me on a date Mr. Senju? Asked Yugito as Naruto smiled slightly. A date? You'll have to work a little harder for that. I'm just asking you to join me for some lunch. So what do you say? Said Naruto as Yugito nodded her head and they walked into town. On the way to find a place to eat, Naruto decided to ask a question. Hey, what was it like growing up in Kumo? You know, being a Jinchuriki and whatnot, asked Naruto curious to find out if all Jinchuriki grew up with difficulties as he did. It's okay if you don't want to talk about it. Yugito looked at Naruto as she said, no, it's fine. Life was pretty tough in the beginning. I became a Jinchuriki at the age of 2 and was shunned for a while. People were afraid of me because of what I held. I didn't really get away from it until I was 6 and that was when I was put through a rigorous training regimen to hone my abilities, especially Jinchuriki abilities. Said Yugito with a dejected look. Yugito's look then turned to one of passion as she continued with, but I was determined to win the village's affection and that determination proved great results in my training. I finished the training when I was 12 and was made a genin. A year later I won Kumo's Chunin exams and became a Chunin. At that point, the people of Kumo began looking at me differently. They saw my prowess in the exams and finally began to start loving me as I had always wanted. It only got better as I was made a Jonin 2 years later at 15 and was deemed the strongest female in Kumo. Life was hard at first but they eventually warmed up to me and it's better than I could ever imagine now. Naruto nodded his head with a smile as he said, hell yeah. That's an amazing story. I'm happy for you, said Naruto as Yugito looked at Naruto with a questioning gaze. Oh, my story. It's the same really. My entire existence ever since I can remember was ignored. The only person who seemed to care was the Sandaime Hokage and my orphanage mother. Then at the age of 6, the Sandaime showed me a restaurant and there I met 2 more people that cared for me. I swore on that day that I'd get as strong as him so I could protect my friends and my village. I was going to become the Hokage so that everyone had to acknowledge and see me as someone important. My dreams are beginning to come true as the villagers are starting to see me as me, not the Kyuubi who destroyed the village all those years ago. I'm not finished yet but things have definitely changed and the villagers welcome my presence nowadays. Naruto finished his tale with a small smile as he remembered those times. Yugito looked at Naruto with a smile. Seems our lives aren't that different Naruto-kun, thought Yugito as she saw Naruto opening the flaps to a small restaurant. Yugito stepped in and starting laughing as she turned to see Naruto's grin. Sushi, how'd you know? Asked Yugito amused. I have my ways, replied Naruto. Yugito and Naruto sat and talked for about an hour over things like their favorite colors, blue Yugito and orange Naruto. After an intriguing talk, Naruto decided to escort Yugito to Jiraiya. When Naruto went to open the flaps back up, he noticed a pair of wooden get outside. Opening the flap, Naruto said, "Jiraiya-sensei. I was just about to come looking for you. Hello, Gaki. I see you've been keeping busy." "Hello Miss Yugito ni," said Jiraiya as Yugito stepped out and greeted Jiraiya. "Jiraiya-sama, it is a pleasure to meet you. I've heard so much about you," said Yugito as she shook hands with Jiraiya. Yugito then pulled out a scroll and gave it to Jiraiya as she said, "I'm here to deliver the reply from the Raikage about your request to deal with the Akatsuki. We heard you were here in Tanzaku-gai and I was sent to be the liaison between us. I spotted Naruto-kun on the way here and he said he'd bring me to you after lunch." Jiraiya read over the scroll as he nodded his head. "Well young lady, it seems the terms are well but I can't sign off on this. Only the Hokage can and we don't have one at the moment," said Jiraiya as Yugito looked on confused, wondering what would happen. "But you're in luck. Gaki here will bring home the new Hokage in 6 days. So why don't you stick around, I'm sure you and he can find a way to pass the time." Finished Jiraiya with a lecherous grin. Naruto laughed nervously as Yugito blushed. "Now remember Gaki, you have 6 days to finish the jutsu so get to it kiddo, and don't get sidetracked," said Jiraiya as Naruto nodded his head. "Hey Yugi-chan. You wanna come?" asked Naruto as Yugito nodded her head. As the two were leaving, Naruto turned to see Jiraiya holding 2 thumbs up. Jiraiya mouthed the words, "Or do get sidetracked and become a man." Naruto laughed slightly as he and Yugito disappeared back to the clearing he was at previously. 6 days later, several days passed since Yugito had shown up and she and Naruto spent every day together. Yugito and Naruto trained and sparred with each other during those days as well as eat lunch together. They had met before sunrise today and eventually, Naruto could be seen smiling as he stood over a panting Yugito. "Seems I win again Yugi-chan," said Naruto. They had just finished another spar. "That makes it 5-3 with me in the lead." Yugito panted a little more as she breathed out, "That'll change soon. I almost had you in that last one. You just got lucky." Naruto held a hand out to help Yugito up as she then asked, "Do you think you completed the Rasengan? Today's the big day, right?" Naruto held up his right arm as he said, "Whether I think I can do it or not is irrelevant. There's no think, I'm going to do it, I have to." Finished Naruto as Yugito nodded her head, "Now let's go find Jiraiya-sensei and get this over with." Arriving back at his hotel, Naruto knocked on Jiraiya's door with Yugito behind him. Jiraiya had gone drinking with Tsunade last night and Naruto figured he'd be in bed still. However, Naruto received no answer and began to worry slightly. Naruto looked to his left down the hallway since he felt a familiar presence approaching. "Naruto-kun. Tsunade-sama's gone. I can't find her," said Shizune as Naruto looked more worried. "Jiraiya-sensei's not in his room," started Naruto until Jiraiya's door opened. Jiraiya had opened the door but immediately slunk against it as he said, "Where's Tsunade?" "I don't know. She knocked me out and left me here. We have to find her, it could be too late," said Shizune as Naruto took notice of Jiraiya's condition. "You look like hell Jiraiya-sensei." "What happened?" asked Naruto. "Tsunade drugged me last night." "Shizune, did Orochimaru offer her something?" asked Jiraiya. Shizune looked as if she feared the worst. "Yes. He offered to bring Naoki and Dan back if she healed his arms. Today was the day they were supposed to meet again and that's where she probably is. We have to stop her," said Naruto as he thought, "She wouldn't do that would she? She has to know it's a trap." While Naruto was in his thoughts, Shizune began to heal Jiraiya as best she could. "You should be fine now but that drug won't be out of your system for a few hours." "It's the best I could do," said Shizune as Jiraiya straightened up. "Well let's get to it, shall we? Let Operation Whoop Ass consisting of finding my teammates, beating some snake ass, and dragging Tsunade back by her ponytails, commence," said Jiraiya as he looked at Yugito. "Almost forgot about you. You can join in if you want." Yugito looked at Naruto and back at Jiraiya as she nodded her head firmly. Jiraiya and Naruto were headed toward the hotel exit until they realized something. "How the hell are we going to find her?" asked Naruto as Jiraiya laughed sheepishly. "Well, you see, Shizune. Any ideas?" asked Jiraiya as Shizune smiled. Taunton. Several minutes later, Taunton had led the small group back to the ruined castle wall to see even more destruction. Naruto smiled at the sight of the demolished wall. Seems like Tsunade Bakken declined, said Naruto as Shizune looked at Naruto with a raised eyebrow. Aunt. Why'd he call her that? Thought Shizune. Yeah, it does. But that could be a good or bad thing depending on the circumstances with Orochimaru. We need to make sure she's safe. Yugito, you hang back, we'll use you as a surprise if it's necessary. Said Jiraiya as Yugito nodded. The rest of them headed into the field on the other side of the wall to see Tsunade seemingly frozen. She was on her knees shaking slightly as they noticed Kabuto preparing to put her down fully. This is the end, shouted Kabuto as he brought down his kunai. Halfway down, Kabuto noticed a mop of yellow hair in between him and Tsunade. Kabuto was then sent sailing backward as a foot connected with his chin. Kabuto landed on the ground and skidded slightly from the quick kick. When he looked up to see who hit him, he saw Naruto putting his foot down. Hell yeah, I look awesome, thought Naruto as he then took notice that he had hit Kabuto, seems he was a spy. I knew not to trust him. Shizune rushed over to Tsunade to take her away and clean off the blood on her. Jiraiya landed next to Naruto and stood by his side. Kabuto stood back up as Orochimaru walked beside him. Ah, what a reunion this is. Jiraiya and Naruto-kun showed up as well. Though I wonder what for, said Orochimaru as Jiraiya held an arm up to stop Naruto from attacking Orochimaru. That's not your fight, kid. Even with useless arms, he'd still be too much for you to handle. You just handle Specs over there while I take on Orochimaru. Said Jiraiya as Naruto nodded a little hesitantly. This isn't good. Naruto will be a hassle to deal with and I don't think Orochimaru-sama can beat Jiraiya in his current condition, thought Kabuto as he noticed Orochimaru still wanting to go. Oh well. As you wish Orochimaru-sama. Kabuto. Do it, said Orochimaru as Kabuto lifted his sleeve to reveal a tattoo. Kabuto smeared a bit of blood on the tattoo and went through several hand seals. Kuchio's no jutsu, summoning technique, said Kabuto as two huge snakes appeared underneath him and Orochimaru. Jiraiya had spotted what Kabuto was about to do and copied him. Kuchio's no jutsu, summoning technique, said Jiraiya as a huge poof of smoke appeared. When the smoke cleared, a small orange toad appeared. Yo, said Gamakichi with a wave. Wow Jiraiya-sensei, she messed you up good, said Naruto as he then saw Jiraiya slam his palms onto the ground. Doten. Yomi Numa, swamp of the underworld, said Jiraiya as a huge swamp appeared below the snakes and began sinking them slightly. Yeah, she got you good. That swamp is terrible compared to the one you showed me, said Naruto as Jiraiya put his head down in shame. My own apprentice is talking down on me. What has this world come to? Asked Jiraiya as he lifted his head immediately. Alright, you got 4 eyes. I'll get Orochimaru. Finished Jiraiya as they leapt into action. Kabuto jumped off the sinking snake's head to land back down on the ground in front of Naruto while Jiraiya jumped onto the snakes to face Orochimaru. Seeing Naruto, Kabuto smirked slightly. It's a pleasure being able to face the last 2 Senjus on the same day, said Kabuto as he noticed Shizune and Tsunade's shocked faces. Oh, you didn't know. Yes, young Naruto-kun here is as much Senju as you are Tsunade-sama. Probably more. He's a Senju, thought Tsunade as she stopped shaking, wondering who Naruto was. And I'm also the guy who's about to kick your ass. Not to mention, you'll also help me win this bet since I really like that necklace and I can have a family member come back with me to Konoha, said Naruto. Orochimaru-sama wanted you to join us but since you're hanging with that toad then I'll have to kill you. A pity, you were going to be a great ninja one day, said Kabuto. Despite how good you are Naruto-kun, you won't be able to defeat me. I'm on par with Kakashi Hatake and I know for a fact you still can't beat him, meaning you can't beat me, said Kabuto with an arrogant smirk on his face. Naruto laughed loudly at Kabuto as he said, you're on par with Kakashi-sensei. I'll believe it when I see it. Naruto made a come-hither motion with his hand as Kabuto's hands became coated with blue chakra. Shizune recognized the technique immediately. Naruto-kun. That is Chakura no Mesu, chakra scalpel. Be careful, he can harm your insides with a mere touch, said Shizune as Naruto nodded his head. So basically stay away from his ass as it wouldn't be wise to let him in close, said Naruto as Kabuto chuckled. Try and keep me away, said Kabuto as he rushed at Naruto with impressive speed. Naruto dodged his first attacks with ease as he kicked him away to gain some distance. However, Kabuto was on Naruto again immediately with another flurry of swipes. Naruto continued dodging Kabuto's lethal strikes as he grunted in effort. Damn. You're annoying to fight. You're fast for a medic nin and one touch is all you need to debilitate your opponent. This sucks, said Naruto as Kabuto smirked again. You're correct, Naruto-kun. I'm just going to keep coming at you until you eventually make a mistake and then it'll be the end. So just give up now, said Kabuto as he struck out with his left hand but extended too far. Not today, said Naruto as he deftly caught Kabuto by the wrist and slung him away. Naruto slammed his hands in the snake seal as he said, I've got a better idea. Mokuten. Jukai Koten wood style. Nativity of a sea of trees, said Naruto as he channeled his chakra. The ground surrounding Naruto cracked slightly as a forest emerged from the ground around Kabuto and stood tall after a few seconds. Kabuto tried to jump out of the way of the technique but the trees appeared too fast and he got snagged by the branches. Kabuto was held tight by the trees as he couldn't move his body. Shizune and Tsunade looked shocked at the display. Especially Tsunade as she hadn't seen anyone besides her grandfather do that. That's not possible, thought Tsunade. She noticed her necklace glow again at the presence of Naruto's chakra. He can use Mokuten. That should be impossible. Tsunade was cut from her thoughts as she saw Naruto hold up his right hand, similar to before when the two of them sparred. Prepare to pay up Bakken, said Naruto as a swirl of chakra appeared in his hand. Come on. Rotate. Power. Combine. Thought Naruto as a perfect Rasengan appeared in his hand. Here I come, Kabuto. Naruto performed a shunshin as he appeared on the branch in front of Kabuto with his jutsu cocked back. This'll hurt. Rasengan, shouted Naruto as he drove the jutsu into Kabuto's gut. Naruto ground the jutsu into Kabuto as it then exploded and sent Kabuto flying through Naruto's forest, smashing through trees and landing roughly on the ground. Naruto smiled and disappeared again in a shunshin to appear in front of the still shocked Tsunade. I believe you owe me a necklace, said Naruto smiling at the stunned Tsunade. He's just like Naoki when he grins like that. This kid, thought Tsunade of the grinning Naruto. As she was thinking that she saw something heading straight for Naruto and he hadn't noticed it yet. No. 1 minute earlier Orochimaru looked down from his stalemate fight with the drug Jiraiya to see his assistant get smashed by a Rasengan. Damn that brat of yours. He's getting too strong. I have to kill him now before he can potentially ruin my plans, said Orochimaru as he took off in a dead sprint toward Naruto. Jiraiya tried stopping Orochimaru but was tossed aside, due to his still being too weak from Tsunade's drug. Orochimaru launched off the snake as something appeared from his mouth. The legendary Kusanagi sword emerged from the serpent's mouth as Naruto's back was turned toward the Sannin as he charged in. Naruto turned at the last second to see Orochimaru closing in on him fast. Not enough time to block with a kunai. If I move, Tsunade Bakken will be in trouble. Shit. Thought Naruto as Orochimaru was inches away from stabbing him. Orochimaru's sword got a hair away from Naruto's chest when he was blasted by a huge stream of blue fire. Orochimaru was sent skidding on the ground as he eventually stopped, still on fire from the surprise attack. Kaden. Guka fire style. Hell fire, said Yugito as she landed in the field next to Naruto. Yugito's jutsu sent a powerful jet of fire that she aimed right at Orochimaru. Yugito had been watching the whole time and headed in when she saw Naruto defeat Kabuto. It was a good thing too as it put her in the perfect place to see Orochimaru heading toward Naruto and be able to stop him. You owe me, Naruto-kun. Naruto breathed an internal sigh of relief. He then looked at Yugito as he said, and what would suffice as payment? Show me around Konoha when you all return there. I'm sure it'll take a while for your cage to get instated and look at what my cage said Yugito with a smile. Naruto smirked slightly. Are you making me go on a date with you? Said Naruto as Yugito returned his smirk. A date? You'll have to work a little harder for that. I'm just asking you to show me around your village. Said Yugito as Naruto smiled. While that was happening, Orochimaru had seemingly regurgitated another Orochimaru that was free of the scorch marks from Yugito's jutsu and turned toward them with a murderous look. I'm going to kill you both, shouted Orochimaru until he was decked with a punch to the face that sent him careening back toward Naruto's forest. Naruto and Yugito noticed Tsunade standing in his place as she turned to address him. You alright kid? Asked Tsunade as Naruto nodded. Good cause I owe you a serious beat down for this senju business and calling me an ant. Yeah, Shizune told me about that other time too. By the way, started Tsunade as she took off her necklace and placed it around Naruto. You won the bet. Fair and square. It looks nice on you. Finished Tsunade as Naruto smiled at her. Orochimaru stood back up as he cracked his jaw back into place. Tsunade. What are you doing protecting this kid? Why risk your life for a simple genin like him? Tsunade looked back at Orochimaru murderously as she cracked her knuckles. I would risk my life because I am Tsunade Senju, granddaughter of the Shodai Hokage and grandniece of the Nadaime Hokage, and as of this moment I am the Godime Hokage of Konoha, said Tsunade as Shizune stood by her sensei's side. Hell yeah Ba-chan. Kick his ass already so we can go home, said Naruto with enthusiasm. Orochimaru was having none of that. Kabuto, summon Manda, said Orochimaru as Kabuto appeared beside him with a huge hole in his shirt and a spiral mark on his exposed belly. Kabuto drew more blood and wiped it across Orochimaru's tattoo preparing to summon Manda. What? You hit him dead on with a Rasengan. He should be done, asked Yugito confused as to how he got back up after that. Naruto, came the shout of Jiraiya as he landed on the ground a little bit away from Tsunade. Naruto grabbed Yugito's hand as he rushed to his sensei's side with Yugito following behind him. Bring out Bunta. Naruto nodded his head and bit his thumb preparing to summon. Tsunade followed suit as she prepared to summon her own boss creature. Kuchio's no jutsu summoning technique came the shout of Tsunade, Naruto, and Kabuto as three huge puffs of smoke went up across the landscape. The smoke cleared to reveal a giant slug, toad, and snake respectively. Gamabunta took a drag from his pipe and blew it out as he said, well if it isn't Manda and Katsuyu. How long's it been since I've seen you two? Jiraiya looked down at Gamabunta from atop his head. Bunta, we need your help with this one. We need to take down Orochimaru, said Jiraiya. Sure why not? I guess I can now finally get that snakeskin wallet I've been wanting, said Gamabunta as Naruto laughed. Why would a toad want a snakeskin wallet? But how did Kabuto get up? That Rasengan was perfect and I felt it grind into his body, asked Naruto confused. If he's anything like Orochimaru, he's hell to put down, said Jiraiya. Yugito was pondering a different thing altogether. Hey Naruto-kun. How are all summoned creatures just ready to go? I mean did they never get summoned by surprise? Asked Yugito as Naruto shrugged. I was wondering the same but honestly I couldn't figure it out so I gave up, replied Naruto as he heard Tsunade speak. This is it Orochimaru. After today, there will be one less Sannin in the world, said Tsunade as she and Shizune stood atop Katsuyu, her slug summon. Orochimaru simply chuckled while Manda hissed underneath him. Orochimaru, what do you think you're doing summoning me out here? Asked Manda in a threatening voice. Kabuto tried to explain but Manda cut him off, silence. I won't bother speaking to a flunky like you. When this is over, I'll be expecting over 100 sacrifices. Orochimaru smirked, of course. Nothing less for you Manda. Kabuto let loose a breath at that. If Manda knew Orochimaru couldn't use his arms, he may attack him and try to eat us, thought Kabuto. Well, let's get to it, said Jiraiya as Gamabunta drew his tanto and rushed at Manda. Manda evaded the attack and slithered away at a rapid pace. Manda slithered to Gamabunta's blind spot and attempted to bite down into him but Gamabunta jumped away at the last second to avoid the bite. Gamabunta did lose his sword in his evasion. Manda just continued toward Katsuyu as he had to dodge a spew of acid from the slug's mouth. Manda eventually wrapped himself around Katsuyu and began to constrict the slug summon. Seeing her summon's dilemma, Tsunade barked out an order. Katsuyu. Separate. Listening to her summoner, Katsuyu separated into thousands of mini-slugs and merged back into her giant form a distance away from Manda. Manda looked surprised by Katsuyu and as such was a sitting duck for an attack. Bunta bring the oil, shouted Jiraiya as he went through several hand seals. Jiraiya spewed out a torrent of fire as Gamabunta sent out a jet of oil toward Manda that converged to create a devastating fire. Kaiten. Yamayu Endant fire release. Toad oil flame bombs. The firestorm appeared to melt Manda's figure but it was revealed to be just his shed skin. Manda then burst from the ground in front of Gamabunta and prepared to strike him. That was stopped as Manda got hit by an impressive number of wooden branches. Mokuten. Daijirin no Jutsu, wood style. Great forest technique, said Naruto as he retracted his left arm. Naruto noticed that the jutsu was much stronger than before and saw the necklace around him glowing. Did this necklace make my Mokuten stronger? It was owned by Hashirama Jiji, so it's possible. Naruto saw Manda looking at him with unbridled fury as he simply smirked back. That's when he realized something. Where's Tsunade Bakken? Without missing a beat, Tsunade came crashing down with Gamabunta's sword to pin Manda to the ground through his mouth. Tsunade then ran up Manda's body and began pummeling Orochimaru while Shizune engaged Kabuto. Yugito looked at the scene before her with a pained expression. You think we should help? Asked Yugito as Jiraiya shook his head. Let's let Tsunade Hime take care of this. I mean, she looks like she's doing fine out there, said Jiraiya as he had pulled a telescope out and watched Tsunade mercilessly beat on Orochimaru. Orochimaru can sure take a punch. Anybody else's head would be liquidated at this point, said Naruto. Naruto felt something land on his head as he looked to see Gamakichi there. She isn't playing. I can't watch this. I'm out, said Gamakichi as he and Naruto fist bumped before the toad disappeared in a poof of smoke. Gamabunta did likewise as the trio fell to the earth. As they were falling, Tsunade decked Orochimaru with another punch that sent him sailing away from her almost 100 feet away. Kabuto disengaged Shizune as he appeared by his master's side. Orochimaru sneered at Tsunade as he said, "Damn you, Tsunade. But you've only impeded my plans for a little while. There are other ways to heal my arms, and when that happens, I will destroy Konoha and kill all of you." Kabuto and Orochimaru disappeared into the earth as they fled the scene. Man, that guy just wouldn't die, said Tsunade as Shizune, Jiraiya, Naruto, and Yugito landed beside her. Katsuyu and Manda had disappeared shortly after Gamabunta, so it was just those five in the area. We'll get him next time, Tsunade Hime, said Jiraiya as he patted her on the back. Good news is we're headed back to Konoha. You get to become the Godime, Shizune gets to reunite with her old friends, and Naruto gets to show off his girlfriend. Finished Jiraiya as Naruto shook his head slightly. Who said she was my girlfriend, or that I had one for that matter? Asked Naruto as he and Yugito looked confused. She was wondering where girlfriend came from as well. Jiraiya smirked slightly. You still haven't let go of her hand since you grabbed it earlier. And she doesn't seem to mind it one bit at all, said Jiraiya as Naruto and Yugito blushed. Let's just get back to Konoha, shouted Naruto as everyone agreed. Naruto then realized that it was getting dark. Calling an audible. We enjoy one more night and then head out in the morning. Sounds good to me, brat. See you all in the morning, said Tsunade as Naruto, Yugito, and Jiraiya said goodbye and began walking away. Yugito and Jiraiya were laughing as Naruto seemed to say something funny. He's going to be a fine man when he grows up. And I think I'll help him get there, thought Tsunade as she and Shizune left as well. That night, it was around midnight and Naruto was sitting on his bed alone in his room. Yugito and Jiraiya had left for their own rooms and were sound asleep. Naruto dug into his backpack as he pulled out something. It was the envelope that Sarutobi had written to him. You going to read that now, Naruto? Asked Kurama as he was also anxious to see what was inside as well. No time like the present, said Naruto as he opened the envelope. It contained a letter as Naruto opened it and read the first line. Hello Naruto-kun, here we go, thought Naruto as he read through the rest of the letter. Thanks for listening. I hope you guys liked it. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like for more what ifs and support the author. See you guys in the next video.